Buconjic. I'm the founder and community lead for StartUP Sault Ste. Marie. StartUP Sault connects local entrepreneurs with the tools, community, and support they need to start and build their businesses. To learn more, visit startupsault.ca or follow us on Facebook. Before we get started, I want to thank Millworks Center for Entrepreneurship for partnering with us on this event, and I'll throw it to Jessica to say a few words about Millworks.
Okay, thanks, Nevin. My name is Jessica Maione, and I'm the Economic Development Officer at the City of Sault Ste. Marie and Millworks Center for Entrepreneurship. We're so excited to be partnering with StartUP Sault tonight to bring you this event, and we hope to have more coming in the future. So for those of you who don't know about Millworks, we provide the entrepreneurial community with tools, education, and capital, as well as networking opportunities. So we offer business counseling, training and mentoring programs, incubation services, and we also have a co-working space on site. So if you're interested in learning more about our programs or services, you can visit us at themillworks.ca, or you can connect with me after the session. I'll also throw my email in the chat if anyone's interested in learning more. And I'll pass it back to you, Nevin.
Great, thanks, Jess. So tonight's special guest is Rhaelyn Gillespie. She's the co-founder of Taurah and Mintier. Rhaelyn is from Sault Ste. Marie, but relocated to Toronto after university. She's here to share her experiences launching her companies and multiple products during the pandemic. So welcome, Rhaelyn.
Thanks, Nevin. I'm so excited and just excited to get started here and chat a little bit more about Mintier and Taurah with you.
Great, thanks for coming. We really appreciate it. So why don't we get started? You can tell us a little bit about Taurah and Mintier and what inspired you to create these companies.
Yeah, sounds good. So I started these companies with one of my best friends, Jessica Shepard. So whenever I reference Jessica in this chat, that's who I'm talking about. And I actually met her at a tech startup that we worked at called ClearBank in Toronto. And both companies, Taurah and Mintier, literally started from our own needs. So Taurah is a line of active wellness essentials, and it has some cool plans in the works too for like clean beauty. But we just saw these gaps in the market and we couldn't find products that fulfilled what we were looking for. So we decided to create our own. Mintier is following suit with that as well. So it's the world's first oil-based breath mint. We're really excited to have brought that to market because we learned that traditional mints and gum are over 2/3 sugar, and sugar feeds the oral bacteria in our mouths, so it makes bad breath worse. It just didn't make sense for us because we were having handfuls of these mints and gum at work every day, and it was actually my co-founder's idea to start looking into it more. And it turns out the only way that we could take sugar and sugar alcohols out of mints and gum was to make it oil-based. So we actually just launched that a few months ago. And like the whole reason why we really want to get into entrepreneurship is because we saw the potential from working at ClearBank. And it came to a point where we were looking at these e-commerce companies and direct-to-consumer companies. We're like, hey, we could do this. And then finding products that we want to bring to market just was like very opportune in timing.
That's fantastic. So working at ClearBank actually helped you.
Oh yeah, a lot.
Now, for those who aren't familiar, ClearBank is a rapidly growing startup, and it's co-founded by one of the Dragon's Den dragons, Michelle Romanow. What was it like working with her and her team?
It was incredible. So obviously, like, she's a main name. We all know her from Dragon's Den. And that's the true reason why I applied. I wasn't really looking to move to Toronto. I wasn't sure what my next step was going to be. I was waitressing at the time, actually, in the Soo at Fratelli's. And I just saw her startup, how it was growing, and decided to apply. And it was a video application, a video cover letter. So uploaded that and really just didn't expect to hear anything from there, but was fortunate enough to actually get the position. So I gave my notice and moved to Toronto in a matter of 2 weeks. And I was a little bit starstruck, honestly, to be in the same room as her, because I was in the first 100 employees of ClearBank, which is now ClearCo. But what we were doing there, like you said, Nevin, is we were funding Tory so that they could really grow their businesses. So firsthand, all I was doing all day was talking to founders, talking to entrepreneurs, learning their why, learning their niches. And then from there, I was able to, to be honest, I wasn't really great at my job from the get-go. I was one of the last people to hit like my sales target in the first month. If I didn't hit that, I probably would have been let go because it's hard. You're growing a startup. They need to be scaling very, very quickly. They have investors to report to. But once I did hit that, I just ran with it. I had the work ethic behind me. So in a matter of 2 months, I was actually chosen to launch their UK expansion with one other account executive. I was a business development rep at the company. So we were chosen to actually like look into this market, see, vet it, and then hopefully we would expand it from there. We worked on that for about 4 months, and then we expanded the team to 10 people. So we were able to prove out that market, and it was just a great experience in all. And it's where I met my co-founder. So that was like the best blessing out of everything. Our desks luckily got moved beside each other. Just very circumstantial, lucky, serendipitous, but I learned so much at Clearbank from ads, inventory, what managing a business looked like, what these founders were doing in their day-to-day, as well as like work ethic. And they had like different things they would teach us, like about radical candor. So I took that away for my own life. Another learning was like reality versus narrative. Being able to actually show like will versus skill, because again, I wasn't great at my job right from the get-go, but I had the work ethic behind me. And from there, like it came to a point where I was ready to move on to my next chapter, but it was definitely quite the experience, and I'm so grateful for it, especially because I got Jessica out of it.
Yeah, what a fantastic opportunity. You never know when you're going to meet a co-founder, and I think it's so important to launching a business. From my own experience, I've only had a couple where there was co-founders, and it's just so much easier, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
You get to spread the work and focus on what you're good at,
a lot
and
of
sort of spread that risk too.
A lot of people that I meet say that like they're more sales and marketing, and their co-founder will be more like finance and operations. Jess and I both met working in sales, so we're both kind of doing that and marketing. In terms of ops and finances, we're figuring that out together. But it's great because we're so similar that we're always on the same page. Like honestly, if I'm ever not available for whatever reason and Jess has to make a decision for our businesses, I can trust that it would be the same decision that I would make, and hopefully vice versa. So finding that in a co-founder too was extremely lucky.
Yeah, I noticed that both of you on LinkedIn have the same titles, right? Co-founder. You're not sort of putting one as a CEO or one in charge of marketing. So it sounds like you're really team doing multiple functions.
If anything, like we would be co-CEOs because we're doing everything. It's just a 2-person team here.
Right. And so how are you? I know you're in Sault Ste. Marie right now, and you've maybe come back and forth through the pandemic. Are you guys connected day to day through different tools like Microsoft Teams or any tools like that, software?
The main one is FaceTime, to be honest.
Okay.
Thank God FaceTime doesn't time us out because we're on it constantly.
Right.
We're texting constantly. Voice notes are the best because we can just use them if we're on a walk or if we're out doing things, even if you're driving, so you're not texting. But we're in constant communication. And then we also do Zoom meetings. We try and keep our meetings to like 1 or 2 days a week so that we're taking those external meetings, and then we'll have internal meetings, which is me and her pretty much every day.
Right. Okay. Interesting. And so in both cases, you developed a product sort of from scratch. You had an idea, you had a market need. And can you take us through the process of saying, I really wish this existed, to, launching the product? I imagine it's a very long process and there's so much involved because you're really developing this from scratch, right?
Yeah, like for Mintier, from the time that Jess looked at the mints that she had in her bag and turned them over to realize that sugar was the main ingredient to the time that we launched was 2 years. We thought this was like going to be a home run in like 4 to 6 months, but it's just,
Yeah.
it's not the way it ever goes. So now we say, no matter what, we always need to double the amount of time we have allocated for any project and double the amount of budget we have allocated
Yeah.
because everything costs more and takes longer. But Mintier was just like a direct need. Like we were coffee drinkers. We were having lunches at work that had like garlic and onions, and you couldn't just like brush your teeth when you're at work. And then these mints, we were having handfuls, and our breath was kind of getting worse. This was before face masks or anything too, so you were like a little bit embarrassed. So we've been able to develop it all through this, and now like Mintier's the only thing that makes my breath and mouth feel so fresh. Like even after I brush my teeth, sometimes I like putting it in because it's kind of like a walking mouthwash and it's all natural. It has so many oral care benefits on top of it. But developing that product was not easy in the slightest. We initially thought it would be a tablet, and we found a co-packer out west. We were going to invest into that, but we literally just couldn't take the sugar and sugar alcohols out of mints, so it wasn't working. And I had an idea to just outsource to a food chemist, and I found a pretty reputable one in the Toronto area. He's amazing. We were, again, very fortunate to find him, but took a risk in hiring him with money we didn't have at the time for an idea that we kind of had, but didn't know if it would ever turn into anything. And he was great. He went through iterations with us, and he just sat us down and said, look, you can't take the sugar and sugar alcohols out of mints unless it's going to be oil-based. And we said, perfect, let's create the world's first oil-based breath mint. And once we did, like the first iteration, meh, like it was okay. It wasn't really hitting home. The second, still working on it. We had multiple in between there. And then the last one, finally, just as soon as we had it, we knew it was the one. And it's not like any type of mint that anyone's ever had before because it doesn't have those sweeteners and sugar in it, but it actually works. Every customer we've had has said that so far. When they take a tincture of it, it gives them fresh breath for over an hour at a time. And there isn't anything else in the market that could do that.
Wow. That's interesting. So it's oil based, so I assume you put it on your tongue. Like, is there a technique that you figured out? Like
Not really.
Swishing it around or something?
Like it's just a tincture like this, and you take a dropper about half full right into your mouth. And one bottle has over 120 servings too. So it's lasting customers about 4 to 6 weeks, where a pack of mints was lasting me at the time like 3 days.
Right. And what does it retail for?
$19.99.
Okay. Seems pretty fair for all those servings. Okay, so that's how you develop the product. Then what's the next stage? You have to figure out the bottling, the packaging,
Yeah.
Or you even get to a point where you can even sort of show up to a customer, right?
It was really important to us to do as much in Canada as possible, which is such a task. It was so hard. But we did have to outsource our bottles, but we do get them manufactured in Ontario. And we couldn't find anyone for the longest time. And we were kind of at a standstill because we had that tablet manufacturer that could be possible, but they couldn't do oil-based. And then anyone that we were finding was more in like the beauty space where this isn't an item that you ingest, so we weren't comfortable with that. We wanted to find someone who we trusted and could also scale with us. So we didn't want to have to be switching co-packers in 6 months or a year. Whenever we kind of hit that point, we finally found someone in Ontario. It went from food chemist to actually having that co-packer. We had to do sampling with him. We visited, well, Jess visited because I was actually in the Sioux at that time. We tested from there, shelf life testing in it. Then we did regulatory consulting. We were trying to decipher if we were a food product, if we were a cosmetic. Turns out we're a cosmetic. Any type of breath freshener is a cosmetic, even though we're ingesting it. So we were going through all of that to see what our label could look like then. There's just so many steps, but even steps we didn't know or allocate for at the beginning, which is why I say things do take double the time. But in talking to other founders, they'll kind of give you a heads up, like, hey, what have you done for your nutrition label yet? And we didn't know. That's how we fell into this regulatory consulting. And then we found out we're not a food item, so we don't need a nutrition label, but we do need to adhere to different facts on our label, and kind of then moved into the next stage from there. So it's always networking too and asking questions, because I don't think one person knows it all. We all have these different experiences. Right. And if you're able to learn from other people's their wins, but also their mistakes, then you can avoid those moving forward.
Right. Okay. And what about Taurah? Different set of products.
Yeah.
Was it a similar experience? And was Taurah developed before Mintier?
Taurah was developed before Mintier, and totally different experience. This was at the start of the pandemic, and me and Jess were just chatting as friends, not even like really on our radar about starting a business. I was working out from home, and so was Jess, and I just asked her, like, hey, what do you clean your yoga mat with? And she's like, oh, I don't. Are you supposed to? I'm like, I think so. So I started doing research, because it was at a time when we were like disinfecting everything, cleaning everything around us. And it turns out that there's over 100,000 bacteria per cubic centimeter of our yoga mats, and then that multiplies every single day. So I started looking online, like, how can I clean this just for myself? And there were some chemical cleaners out there, which is what we use at like public gyms. There were some DIY recipes that included vinegar, which is just like a hard no for me. I don't want to smell vinegar while I'm working out and doing yoga. And then there were a few other recipes that used different essential oils, but I didn't understand why they were using those ones. And I don't think those people understood either. So then I dove a little bit deeper. I learned about organic witch hazel, the antibacterial properties in those. We chose a set of essential oils that all have antibacterial properties as well, and then came up with this first product. We started just talking about it a little bit more loosely, and from working at Clearbank, me and Jess have just been interested in e-commerce and direct-to-consumer. So we're like, why don't we bring this product to life and sell it? And that's just what we did. We started with like a few hundred units, wanted to see how that went. And we sold out of our yoga mat cleaner in 8 days after we launched. So then it was like, okay, I think we're on to something. Let's see like what we can continue developing. But it was pretty much just all on our own. Like, we were making them, we were pick and packing the orders, fulfilling everything ourselves, marketing it ourselves, learning so much. And now we kind of look back, and Taurah was kind of like a test in a way, because it taught us so much, all while like we still had the idea for Mintier before that, but it took the full 2 years to bring that one to market.
Wow. So yeah, Taurah was sort of helped you to launch your I guess main product that you're promoting now.
Yeah. And when I say like learn from other people's mistakes, we also then learn from our own.
Yes, which is really important, right?
Yeah.
We all stumble through this game of entrepreneurship sometimes, and sometimes you can't learn unless you're actually doing it. So
yeah, exactly.
Important step. So I'm curious, how did you test market some of your products? Did you experiment on your friends, or let them try it, or
yeah, so for Taurah,
or you took it to market?
For Taurah, we created them. We iterated a little bit just between Jess and I. We trialed them within our own networks, but the main test, honestly, was to sell them. So that's when I say like we launched them, we sold out in 8 days. That was enough product market fit to be like, okay, maybe then we'll like reorder a bit more, see how that goes. But it was all very much like that was the test. And if something wasn't working at that time, we probably would have just been like, we have enough yoga mat cleaner for the rest of our lives. And then because we started getting more customers from that, then we launched a face mask mist, which was a different reactionary product to the pandemic. We gifted that actually to 10 frontline workers to see how they liked it. And then the word of mouth from that kind of took off. And then we just kept having ideas of products that we genuinely wanted. So like a calming pillow mist, a cooling aloe body spray, our sunscreen, because it's just a sunscreen stick, so it's very easy to reapply. And all of those, we were starting with a set amount and then able to, did it fit? Like, was there product market fit with our customers? Were we able to acquire more customers with these products? And if not, then now's the time when we're looking, okay, what's going to stay? What's going to go? What direction is that brand going in? For Mintier, it was more like the idea really resonated with people and still does. The value prop that we bring to customers resonates just the same. The taste is so different and they're not really used to it, but it seriously does work. So we market tested kind of with ourselves in very small scale, but we did that regulatory consulting and we did really take our time to perfect the recipe because we wanted to be able to come at this very hard. But being a first of its kind product, we also didn't want to announce our idea to the masses without being anywhere near our launch. The best thing I think is to tease a little bit, but be able to actually then sell the product, because consumers will lose interest so fast if we're saying we're creating a breath mint that works, and then a few months later we're like, it's coming. So that's why we actually timed out our Kickstarter in September, because we knew then we could fulfill the orders in October. So there wasn't much of a waiting period, because buyer's remorse really is a real thing. So as soon as you put your credit card in, you're waiting for that package to show up at your doorstep. And you don't want to tease much longer than that.
Right. So that's interesting. You used Kickstarter to sort of fund that first batch?
Yeah. Which was great. We announced that on a demo day for an accelerator program that we were in. And it was fully funded in less than 24 hours, which was incredible. I mean, a lot within our networks as well, so I can't thank them enough. But it was able to kind of prove like, okay, I think we're onto something here. We did invest into doing a really nice video, and we used a local company in the Sioux as well for that, and then able to fulfill the orders right away. So now we're actually seeing reorders trickle in, because it aligns with the 4 to 6 week timeline of how long a bottle lasts you.
Okay, excellent. And how much did you raise that first campaign?
So our target was 5,000 and we raised 7,000.
Well, that's fantastic. That must have felt really good.
Yeah, it was, I mean, like, it was scary to put ourselves out there that way. And I look back at the video and I would change what I wore. I would probably change what I said. I would demo the product a little bit more, but it worked. It did its job. And then now we've learned so much that if I ever launched another Kickstarter, it would be a bit different.
Right. So going back then to the Taurah products, the ones beyond the yoga mat cleaner, was it a similar experience of creating the product? Like you had to test it and, you know, figure out the ingredients and stuff like that?
Yeah, and we mostly tested it on ourselves, and we would give ourselves enough time to make sure that they worked. The face mask mist especially, but we were getting before and after pictures from people as soon as we launched it and started selling it, and it was incredible. It's such a great product. We ended up actually just selling out of it. So we're trying to look at a restock as well, but it's interesting just to see the avenue that Taurah is taking, because it was more about like active wellness at the beginning, with a focus on being like natural, high quality products. And then now a little bit more, we're hearing from our customers, and the most important thing to do is to listen to your customers. And they're looking for more clean beauty options. So we're trying to learn like what can we create, what's in our realm, what can we outsource, and I think it's a pretty exciting direction that we're looking for Taurah in the new year as well.
Amazing. So what would you say, I'm assuming both stores are maybe on Shopify or some e-commerce platform?
Yeah, I love Shopify. Love. The best.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great platform. And so would you say most of your marketing is social media?
Yeah.
Or what's been the most effective?
Honestly, right now, TikTok. Like TikTok
Oh, yeah?
is crazy. And we've met with different founders as well who have blown up on TikTok. It's just, it can happen so fast. The reach is enormous. And people are really interacting on that platform because it feels more real. Like I think Instagram a bit more is like you want it very pretty, you want to highlight real, where TikTok is more legitimate in that this is the day-to-day of it, or this is how it works, and funny. You're kind of not as embarrassed to post like a silly video on TikTok as you would be on Instagram or Facebook. So we're finding a lot of reach is coming through there, and we're investing time into that. Like we're creating content for TikTok. It's great for user-generated content as well, because people want to see not like highly edited videos. They want to see actual, like just on your iPhone videos that they can interact with. But like we've had some videos go up to like 100,000 views, which is reach that we could never afford to get on any other platform because you do have to pay for that. And you can still advertise on TikTok, but we're not at that point yet where we're looking to do that or where we need to do that. And some companies get like millions and millions of views and just kind of blow up right from that. So the reach, again, is incredible. I see a lot of potential in that channel. Not to say that we're putting all our eggs in one basket. We still are very active on Instagram and on Facebook. It's just the different channels are used for different reasons. Finding Instagram is great for education a bit more. TikTok's great for like trending videos or UGC. Facebook always still going to keep that up as well. Snapchat is another great channel to reach more customers. Pinterest also. But it's weird right now because what I want to do and what Jess wants to do is we want to go out and sample and meet our customers in person, but we're still navigating through a pandemic. So it's just not possible, and we've had to iterate and innovate and get creative and see what we can do, what's within our control. And if it's making TikToks every day, then we'll do it.
Right. And I think Shopify just announced their integration with TikTok.
Yeah.
Have you used that? Yeah.
We looked into it. It's for ads mostly.
Okay.
So we haven't like really delved into it very much, but it is something that we'd be looking at in the new year. And it's great to have it directly integrated because then it's looking at who's visiting your website and then bringing that back to TikTok. So when you do run ads, you'll be able to target those customers.
Okay. Wow, powerful stuff. And I have to ask, have you and Jessica sent a gift pack to Michelle Romano?
Michelle actually backed us on Kickstarter, which was incredible.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It was pretty cool to see her name pop up, and like we respect her so much. She's again, like she's done it and is continuing to do it. She's a serial entrepreneur. So we're pumped to like have her try Mintier, and Arlene Dickinson as well has tried Mintier because we were in her accelerator program.
Okay.
So that feels really cool, but at the end of the day too, we just need everyone to try Mintier. We need all our customers to be on board. So I would say that matters more.
So speaking about the accelerator program, are you completed now or?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was that experience like?
So we actually applied through a YouTube video on a whim a little bit. Like we knew about Arlene's program. We had talked to a couple companies that had been in it. And we were a pre-revenue company, and I think it even loosely company. It was more of an idea at the time for Mintier. So we were pretty shocked to hear that we had a call scheduled and that we got accepted. But we started that in March of 2021 and it ran until September. So throughout that whole time, Jess and I were both working full time at our day jobs. We would have weekly mentor sessions, weekly sessions for the accelerators on Tuesdays and Fridays, all while running Taurah and trying to get Mintier off the ground. So it was just an insane time for us during that. Like, I don't even know what I did in the summer besides really work. Jess would say the same, but it was huge for us because that's where we started to get some feedback from people in our accelerator for brands who have already been able to get their products off the ground, get distribution, see scalability, some doing like millions of dollars a year. And here we are, a pre-revenue company that now gets to lay the foundation from what everyone else is talking about in these sessions. So it's a great opportunity for us. We had an incredible mentor as well, who works for one of the largest distribution companies in CPG in Canada. She was just a godsend. She is a great person, first and foremost, an incredible mentor. And we still talk to her all the time now if we have any questions, but she was able to challenge us too, in a way. So if we thought something was going to happen, like originally we thought we were going to launch in June of last year when we got accepted into this accelerator, and we still couldn't fully launch in September on our demo day. So she did challenge us in things along the way, which helped us to, again, lay the foundation so that we can have a scalable business rather than us now trying to go back and start putting in, oh my gosh, like we haven't done our bookkeeping or we don't have any financial forecasting or anything to do with like supply chain management. Those were things that me and Jess aren't pros at because we're more sales and marketing, but we're able to hear them from people who have already done it. And then implement that into our own business. And it all actually led up to this demo day, which was in September. And we presented to entrepreneurs, investors, and buyers in the space. So that's when we presented to Sobeys and Pusaderis, among other retailers. We were so nervous, but we had about 3 minutes to present to them and get this idea across of what Mintier is. And that's actually when we announced our Kickstarter as well. So it did work out pretty good. And we were able to launch into Sobeys' local program after that, once we actually finished our first line run. So that's been really incredible as well.
So was this all virtual, or was even the pitch day in person or virtual?
It was virtual. So traditionally the accelerator ran in person out of Calgary. So we would have actually had to fly to Calgary a couple times a week, which I don't think Jess and I would have been able to do with like working full time, even like the financial impact of that. So we were really lucky that it was virtual. And I think it's still continuing to be virtual now. And also demo day was virtual. So kind of got the nerves out a little bit more when you're just looking at the screen instead of a room full of these people that you respect so much and want to impress, but tough.
Yeah. I'm actually going through a similar program for nonprofits.
Oh, cool.
So through the Yeti Institute, it's sort of a nonprofit accelerator and very similar. Usually it's in person in Toronto, but because of the pandemic, they've been able to open up to across the country. So it's a great opportunity. I'm learning a lot because the nonprofit space is way different from for-profit, which I'm used to. So we're looking at scaling StartUP Sault. So they're really helping me to see things I didn't really consider before. And I think February 4th, I have to do a pitch. So maybe I'll get some tips from you. I've never actually had to pitch a business before, so should be interesting.
Well, it's storytelling.
Yes, exactly. So getting back to, so now in both cases, you kind of developed the product. How did you find the companies that packaged it up, and what's that process like? Do you send them the inventory, or the manufacturer sends it directly to them and then they label it, box it up, or is that in one company that's doing it all?
So there's different strategies that you could take. And for sales, we've taken an omni-channel strategy. So we do have our direct to consumer, which is growing, but we also do direct to independent retailers and then places like Sobeys, and are looking at distribution moving forward. So we had our products manufactured, then we warehouse them so that we can fulfill all of the orders for our D2C and our direct retail, as well as Sobeys, because in the local program, we're responsible for fulfilling and delivering those. And then now we're looking at working with a distributor that we just signed on with, who we will send X amount of inventory to, and then they will then distribute that to retailers that they sell Mintier to.
Okay. And so are you still in more of a regional market situation, or even local to Toronto area, or are you expanding slowly out?
Yeah, it's incredible because it's advice that we got in the accelerator multiple times from different people, because we would have weekly sessions with founders, like Mike Fata, or the founder of Made Good, who have done this. They've had incredible exits, incredible success stories in CPG in Canada. And they said to us, take a regional approach. Focus on a 100-kilometer radius, probably the GTA, and just really have brand awareness so that people try your product, love your product, get obsessed with it, and then keep reordering from there so that you have the scalability factored in as well. And that's what we've decided to do. Although we've been tempted to be like, wow, the States is such a huge market. What if we start tapping into that? We only need 3% of it to hit these goals. I really want to start off as a local brand, because we did prioritize being made in Canada, made in Ontario, actually. We've been able to network through our accelerator program with other Toronto-based companies. I love the independent retailers that we've been able to get into already in the area. And then it's also such a bonus being based out of Sault Ste. Marie myself, because we have a great support local community with other retailers who are working with me now, selling Mintier, selling Taurah, as well as just customers. We're pretty good just as a city in supporting one another, and I always like to pay it back with that as well.
So what are some of the retailers that are carrying both products here in the Soo?
So we have Sweet Greetings, which is in IDA locations. We have Azure, Lucy Rowe Clean Beauty, Crush, Ivory Lane in Sault Ste. Marie, which is pretty great so far, and just a pleasure to work with. Plus they have like so many good gift ideas and things for yourself too, for people to check out.
That's fantastic. So is it sort of a consignment arrangement, or how does that work?
It's a wholesale partnership.
Okay. Interesting. Nice. So getting back to sort of running the business, how would you describe a typical day for you and Jessica? Get up at 7, you do your yoga, you jump into work at 8.
Honestly, I operate best kind of out of routine, although I'm trying to implement a little bit more routine into my days. But for anyone who's ever worked at a startup or run a business or even just worked at a small business, things come up every single day. And I actually just made a LinkedIn post about that, because it feels like we're putting out a fire every day. Even if we have these plans like, okay, today we're going to call all of these retailers, we're going to check in, we're going to see if they need restock, we're going to onboard more retailers, we're going to fulfill orders, something's going to come up. And it could be delays in production. There's been huge supply chain issues right now at the ports in North America. So it happens, and we have to be able to kind of pivot when those things happen. So I have personal routines that I like to really keep every day, which is like waking up around 6 or 6:30. I like to read in the morning. I always walk every day. I listen to podcasts and audiobooks, and that's just like non-negotiables for me. But we do give ourselves like structured sales targets and goals that are top of mind in the morning because we want to get them done first because that's the most impactful for our business. And that's how Jess and I operate because we came from a sales background. So although we are putting out fires, we're trying to strategize, research, fulfill orders. But we definitely like keep those sales targets top of mind. And then we also try and visit the retailers so that we can take content. It's always great for TikTok as well. Network, hear what if they have any feedback, if their customers have any feedback, they need a reorder. So we're putting time and energy into actually developing relationships for those and partnerships, but it does look different most days. Pretty consistently, though, I do live on my phone and computer in emails, DMs, content, cold calling, spreadsheets, all of that.
So I think you were both lucky enough to get trained in sales, which I think is a weakness for a lot of people, including myself. I can't just sell even myself sometimes, right? It's difficult for people, let alone selling a product. So that's an excellent skill. I think you guys were really lucky. You were probably trained by some of the best.
Yeah.
Michelle and the crew.
Yeah. A lot of it for them is storytelling and active listening. When I walked in for my first day at Clearbank, they had a book on my desk called Talent is Overrated, and that was chosen by the VP of Revenue at the company.
Okay.
It's a really good book because it's true. Like, he's a huge Tom Brady fan, so we always talked about that. But like the amount of hours and dedication that you put into something will have correlated results. So I always try and keep that in the back of my mind too, where we're not just going to get lucky with everything. We have to put in the work. And being in sales too, we definitely learned how to work hard because it's not a 9 to 5, it's not a 40-hour work week. It was more like a 24/7. Like I was at the office, I think 12 to 14 hours a day. Jessica as well. I was doing the UK, so I was in the mornings and then I would stay really late. Jess was launching Australia, so she would work a night shift essentially. But we had to be like very dedicated to those positions. And then now we've been able to take that work ethic away and be like, okay, we're doing this for ourselves, for our business, for our whys, and making it happen.
I'm curious, where do they get the leads at Clearco?
So you can, like there's inbound leads and then outbound leads, and you can find outbound leads through different lists, or you can outsource them in different ways. I don't know exactly like their marketing department where they're outsourcing and finding those. I think that falls into the growth team. For us, like trying to find leads, we look at like different companies that we think we would fit well next to on a shelf and look at their stockists and retailers and then directly reach out.
Interesting. And so do you think by building local and connecting and building relationships, do you think that'll help you get into some of the major retailers eventually?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of it is brand awareness, especially creating a first of its kind product like Mintier, because if you see this on the shelf, do you automatically know that it's going to work and give you fresh breath for over an hour, and that it's the world's first oil-based breath mint, and it's created by two nice Ontario girls, made in Canada product? Like it's hard to like make all of that yell at a customer right from a label and a package. So brand awareness and sharing our story and sharing our journey, our priorities with the company, our values with the company, our mission and vision as well. It's all about community nowadays, which I love. That makes it more enjoyable for us as well. So creating a product and a brand with our customers is a priority for us. And a lot of that is based off of brand awareness.
Excellent, excellent. So before I ask the last question, I just want to give the audience a chance to ask questions. So if anyone has a question, you can start typing it in the chat and we'll get to you in a moment. My last question is what advice would you give to somebody who's listening who maybe has an idea, product idea or other idea, and they don't know where to begin, where to start? What would you say to them?
Find a way to start now. Like, start yesterday if you can, because we learned so much along the way, especially with launching Taurah first and then now also having Mintier. There's just like, I read a lot of books and I listen to a lot of podcasts, but nothing really can prepare you unless you do it yourself and just roll with it. So you have to get started as soon as you can. Plus, like, network. It's so corny, and I was really not this girl in university or even at the start of my time at Clearbank, but the greatest takeaway I've had from the accelerator, from any jobs that I've had like Clearbank, for any teams I've played on through social media, has been the network that I get, and it's not always going to fall into your lap. So anytime we had someone hop on for a session in the accelerator program, we always found a way to reach out to them directly after and just say like, hi, thanks for that session. We had like these great takeaways from it. Would you mind if we picked your brain? And just scheduled like a 30-minute call to learn a little bit more from you. And then we would tell them direct things that we were coming into with Mintier or Taurah, and then kind of hear their point of view on that. And sometimes it'd be like, oh, wow, I went through that. Don't do that, do this, or this is what I think works, or here, let me introduce you to this person. And then your network continues building and building from there. We're so fortunate now with social media and LinkedIn, the reach that you can get there, TikTok, the reach that you can get there. It's very easy in a virtual world to be able to connect with people quickly. Like, you don't have to fly and see them. You can hop on Zoom, you can hop on Google Hangouts. So always just being able to like put yourself out there a little bit. The worst thing that they're going to say is like, no, I'm super busy. It's like, great, thanks for your time and I wish you all the best.
Just to pick up where you left off, I think you're exactly right. Like, it's so easy today to reach out to people. And I always advise people locally, they say, I want to start a business. Where should I start? And go to places like Millworks where they have professionals who can help you. But also, I think it's important, and this is something StartUP Sault does, we're all about building an entrepreneurial community. And so, pre-pandemic, a lot of what we did was we had monthly events, whether it was a startup drinks or book club or some learning opportunities and boot camps and stuff like that. It was really just an opportunity to meet other entrepreneurs and innovators in the community and connect, because you never know when you'll meet that co-founder or somebody who can help your business, or you can help somebody. We want to build that community and build your network. That's super important. So I'm just going to jump to a few questions. Let me see here. Juan says, awesome achievements, congratulations. Have you considered any direct-to-consumer subscription models for your products?
We actually do have a subscribe and save on Mintier right now. So you save 15% subscribing on a monthly or bi-monthly subscription model.
Okay, great. And just curious, how do you manage that? To know when they...
So we install an application that basically will flag their next order. We also want to make it like very transparent with our customers as well, so that they know when their next order is coming. Yes. Do you need Mintier? Do you want to skip this month? Totally fine. It's just a way to basically keep their breath fresh.
Awesome. Our next question from Mary Lou. How can you link Mintier and Taurah together? Do you have an overall brand name?
Yeah, so they are sister companies right now, and we do have an overall brand name, which is called the Minty Market. So we are working on something very cool within that as well, which will be in Q1 of next year.
Okay, interesting. I think it sounds like that would give you an opportunity to branch out to different products as well, eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Super. Okay. From Brandon, looking back, is there anything you would do differently? I'm sure there's a lot, but
there's so much. Even like I mentioned about the Kickstarter video, There's so much that I would do differently, but I do think like for the most part things happen for a reason. So trying to just like take any losses or mistakes that we've had and learn from them and keep going. But we try and be pretty does come up so that we can share what we've learned and learn from other people. Just all the same, I think that's kind of the theme of our chat today. But I wouldn't say like there's one thing. If there is one thing, I would have started even sooner.
Right. Okay. Good advice. David asks, very inspiring. What are your benchmarks for measuring your success on the horizon?
So first and foremost, it would be the sales targets and goals that we put on ourselves. I mean, like we're a business, we have to hit these. This is like how we're forecasting, and it also then attributes into like what can we spend, how much do we need to spend on marketing or supply chain inventory to get to those benchmarks. So we live in spreadsheets, and Jess would probably make fun of me for how many spreadsheets I have, but like I live in them. I need to see what we're at, what we want to get to, how we're going to get there. But it's mostly surrounded about those sales targets first and foremost, because that's what it's all going to come down to, supply and demand.
Right. Okay. Next question from Brandon. What books or podcasts do you recommend?
One book that's not a business book, but I think everyone should read it is called A New Earth. It's by Eckhart Tolle, and it's about ego, so that we can all put egos aside and just focus on living and doing our day to day. That's a really good book. One of my old managers at Clearbank told me to read How to Win Friends and Influence People. I loved that book. I think I'm going to read that one every year. And then more focused on like business minded would be Supermaker by Jamie Schmidt. She's the founder of Schmidt's Deodorant. She's an investor now. She's so cool. I think she got it acquired by Unilever. And then Let My People Go Surfing by Yvon Chouinard. He's the founder of Patagonia. Their business model's incredible. They actually are shutting down from December till January 1st to give all of their employees paid time off and just rest after the crazy holiday season. Like that's so cool.
I just saw that, and I saw another random post on LinkedIn from a connection saying he ripped his 3-year-old jacket from there and they fixed it for free.
Yeah, they do that.
And they sent it back saying, we'd rather you send it to us, we can fix it because it, it's better for the environment. They're true to their word.
Sustainability.
Amazing. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, we have a comment from Susan. Congratulations, Ray and Jess. Great job. Wishing you continued success. And another comment from Mary Lou. Excellent presentation, Rhaelyn and Nevin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for the feedback and the questions. And Rhaelyn, I really appreciate you speaking with us today. I think it was super informative. Oh, we just had another one come in. Congratulations, Rhaelyn and Jessica, on your excellent creation that is so unique to everyone in the world. This is from Sylvana. Your hard work has resulted in huge success. Will there be little tablets available in a small container?
So sugar's the binding ingredient to make it into a tablet form. We cannot crack the code on that with our food chemist yet. We're still working on it because I like the oil-based. It's like a walking mouthwash, but we want to be able to obviously develop more products for our customers. So we're trying to find a way to come up with even more functional ways of using Mintier and having fresh breath.
Okay. Work in progress, right? Great. Okay, well, once again, we really appreciate you speaking to us, sharing your insights. I think it's really important for entrepreneurs to talk about their journeys and their stories and help other entrepreneurs. So we really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll have you at some StartUP Sault live events in the future.
Yeah, I'd love that. Thank you so much.
Thanks again. Take care, everybody. Thank you for coming.